Hello everybody, hope you're all okay. My name's Caroline Clifton, I'm editor of Standout magazine. Some of you in the room may know who I am and what I do, but I spend most of my time in a field in the summer in a high-vis vest and some steel toe caps interviewing production managers and festival directors about what it is about your events that makes them stand out and how you make them stand out. And I've been doing that for more than 11 years now, so I like to think I know a lot about the sector, but there's still, every day's a school day, pretty much. So Claire asked me to come along and do this session with you, and it's an interesting one. I've always thought that everybody can learn from everybody else, and I don't like to see people pigeonholing themselves and saying, well, I work in festivals, so I can't learn from an exhibition organiser, and the exhibition guy going, well, I can't learn from that bloke over there. And I've just come from the event production show, and I told someone I was doing this session about how it's important for everybody to talk to each other, learn from each other, learn best practice, and what we can get from each other from pulling that information and pulling the resources. And he was an exhibition organiser for 17 years, and excuse my French, but he went, why the would I want to tell the other guy what I'm doing? And I did say to him, it's a mindset, and we can all learn from everybody else. So as a journalist, I learn from reading other people's articles, and as you guys in the field, you always learn from seeing what other people are doing. And I think it's a very healthy situation to be in if we can all learn from each other and all make our own events better, because then we have a very healthy events and festival sector, and we can all go home and pay our bills and pay our mortgages. So for this session, we've got a lovely panel here, and we have Katrina and Gemma, and we have Dominique and Chris, and they're all going to do a little 10-minute session, and then we're going to open it up to the floor and have a few questions. So I'm going to hand it over to the ladies.
Thank you very much. My name is Gemma Lawrence, and I work with Creative Carbon Scotland. And we're a charity focused on what role the arts and culture can play in transformation to a more sustainable society. Today we're going to discuss with you the context of the Edinburgh Festivals and the models of collaboration within urban contexts, which is quite an interesting one. So as I mentioned, Creative Carbon Scotland works across the arts, but festivals have always been quite a strong component of our work, both in our foundation and in the continuation of what we do. And I'll tell you about another project that started last year, looking at greenfield sites as well in Scotland. So today we're going to talk about the benefits of collaborative working within the urban context of Edinburgh. First of all, I thought it might be useful to give you just some simple facts about the city, some of the benefits and challenges to working in that context. So Edinburgh prides itself as a world leading festival city, and that's something that all the 12 festivals, the major 12 festivals, focus on within their work. The festivals themselves that we work with range from film, jazz, hogmanay, military tattoo and visual arts, so they're quite a wide range, as well as the Fringe, which is the world's largest arts festival. In terms of music, we have the Jazz Festival, which works within venues, the Military Tattoo, which takes place within the castle and across a whole month, Hogmanay, which is a big street party, so really quite a wide variety of music festivals. And we think that the challenges that come with working within an urban setting also bring those festivals closer together and forge more collaborative working approaches. Edinburgh City is a city of 500,000, but in August, when half of the 12 festivals come together, the city doubles in size to 1 million. So we see a huge influx of people and quite a lot to deal with as a result. It's also, I think, urban contexts are quite interesting to think about because they're in a way less easily manipulated than greenfield sites. And for Edinburgh, it's a UNESCO heritage site, so it's got that to consider. It's got a volcano, it's got the castle, it's got the Queen of Holyrood, so there's all sorts of things that come into it when thinking about how these festivals collaborate and work together.
So basically, we're going to talk you through a couple of the key ways in which this collaboration has kind of manifested itself and the benefits it's brought to the world-leading festival city. So the 12 Edinburgh festivals are brought under the banner of Festivals Edinburgh, which is a strategic umbrella organisation, despite the fact that all the festivals are very individual and distinct in themselves. They have their own teams, they have their own offices, they have their own programmes, they have their own agendas. Everything is very individual, but they're trying to work in a collaboratively together. And they have this kind of four main strands that they try and work on this collaboration: marketing, programming, innovation, and environment. And the way that this environment section, kind of obviously the most relevant for this audience, is there's 4 meetings every year with representatives from each of the 12 festivals, myself as the environment officer, and a lot of kind of joint projects, joint exchange, advice, support, research, kind of testing out of different projects, a whole kind of different series of opportunities to kind of develop the environment work both individually and as a collective whole. Kind of as a deciding on joint direction and strategy and kind of a collective environmental policy for the 12 festivals, because they do exist over the course of the year. The kind of second other way that this kind of collaboration takes place is through the influencing power that the festivals have when they are more combined as a group. Because the festivals are existing within loads of different spaces in Edinburgh, they are often having to work with overlapping venues and things like that. So, for example, the Storytelling Festival, which happens in October, November, uses a lot of the same venues as the Fringe uses in August, as the same venues as the Science Festival uses in March. And they always want their venues to be working in more sustainable ways, the contractors that they share to be working in more sustainable ways, and by approaching them as a set of festivals, they're able to work out better procurement, better supplier relationships, and ultimately better venue cooperation. It also means that they have a greater collective impact when attempting to reduce the overall emissions of the festivals, and to kind of pass this on to other arts and cultural organisations that are existing in the city throughout the year, so that anyone who does come in, maybe as a touring show that is working in Edinburgh, they can use venues which otherwise year-round are being encouraged to be more sustainable by those organisations.
And a third area we think that they collaborate in is in taking risks through innovation. And in coming together to work together, they're benefiting from the knowledge and experience of 12 festival teams rather than just individually. So we sort of imagine it as a bit of a research hub in which they can trial and test out particular approaches and models. So for example, the International Festival has taken on using a tool which we've developed called Claim Expenses, which is to help organisations monitor their travel and also monitor artist and audience travel. And in doing that, the Jazz and Blues Festival also took that on, seeing the success that the International Festival found with that. A number of them are also looking into potentially trialling ISO 20012-1 Sustainable Events Management System, which was mentioned earlier, which is a bit of a bureaucratic, exciting adventure. The Edinburgh Mellon Festival also took on the decision to require all of its suppliers to use vegware or compostable packaging, and other festivals are now able to sort of learn from that experience of how they introduce that without falling out with suppliers or losing suppliers. So we've seen through that a real benefit to sharing experiences, and for each of those festivals to gain insight not only into the sort of end result but also the whole process and the whole journey for each of those different types of methods of sustainability.
So in terms of how Creative Carbon Scotland has also kind of been able to expand this initial kind of collaborative work within Edinburgh more on a national scale, we thought we'd kind of describe a couple of the other projects that we do that kind of build on this collaboration more nationally. The Green Arts Initiative, which is a kind of community practice that we run, it was first conceived as a guide that was given to all Edinburgh Festival Fringe venues. And then that changed into a scheme, the Green Venue Initiative, so specifically Fringe venues could sign up and commit to their sustainability policies. And then it changed into the Green Venue Initiative, which all Edinburgh venues could join in, and then it was launched as the Green Arts Initiative, which is now across Scotland with over 138 arts and cultural organisations, companies, suppliers across Scotland at the moment who are all kind of committed to reducing their environmental impact and working more creatively with sustainability. So we have like the Green Arts Initiative reports every year. We have a yearly conference with the extremely embarrassing name of 50 Shades of Green. And it really is becomes that kind of community of exchange and collaboration that, I mean, Scotland is a small place, and that really becomes quite a strong network.
Yes, and similarly with the festivals, we trialled out a whole process for carbon monitoring and reduction, and that's something which Creative Carbon Scotland was able to take the success of that and apply it to Creative Scotland's 120 regularly funded organisations, which are the equivalent to the Arts Council Label International portfolio. So that's now stated as a requirement of all regularly funded organisations to measure and report on their environmental impacts. And the third example we wanted to share with you was a project which we embarked upon last year with a number of university partners called Fields of Green, which is specifically looking at greenfield sites and environmental sustainability within those contexts. And that's been quite an interesting one, moving out of the urban context to trying to bring together a whole range of different parties who are working in very geographically distributed locations across Scotland, from up on the Isle of Lewis to down in Dumfries and Galloway. But we've come across some incredible work that's been going on, and I think quite an interesting phenomena is that because in Scotland a lot of festivals are of more of a smaller, medium scale, there's much more engagement with local communities and a sense of responsibility with local communities. And again, sort of innovation within that, to particular questions of sustainability around food and procurement in particular. So I think what we've seen from this collaborative model approach, which was founded in Edinburgh, is replicated across all different strands of Creative Carbon Scotland's work, moving out from a local context and happening across the country more broadly.
Bonjour. I'm going to try to make this presentation in English. But it's going to be a collaborative presentation, so if you don't understand what I say anymore, just do not hesitate correcting me or trying to give me some English sentence. I'm going to talk about a territorial approach also. I live in a city called Nantes, that is in the south of Brittany in France. It's an hour away from the ocean. It's a city, I guess, a little bit like the size of Edinburgh or Bristol, 500,000 inhabitants. It's quite a nice city. There is all the history of Jules Verne, a journey into the center of the earth. He wrote all his books there. And also there used to be a beautiful harbor that was building ships. And we got this is now our identity, this huge elephant. This is 15 meters high. And we have all, it's very poetic, very creative. The city used to be an industrial city. And now it's a creative city, lots of service, and it's very attractive now. Lots of people come from Paris, the capital, to live and have a better quality of life. And quality of life, this is all a matter. This is the matter about event. It's sharing experience, going either it's cultural, popular, sports. This is everything we talk about. So I'll try to. In fact, when I got the item of this presentation, time to assemble, I'll try to answer 3 questions: why assemble, and who are we trying to assemble, and how. For 3 years, I've been working with Pierrick, my pal that is over there too, on the Réseau Eco-Événement, which means Eco-Event Network. What we try to do is to gather all the event organizer, but many more people around an idea that eco-event, everybody can do it. So we don't try to make a closed club of outstanding and amazing eco-event. We try to explain everybody that it's possible, and this is our definition of eco-event. Would be any event organizer or any event that would try, that would go in this dynamic. We welcome them and try to go further with these people. Also, I have there is a African proverb that I really like. In French, it's seul on va plus vite, ensemble on va plus loin. Translation would be alone I go faster, together we go further. And we realize also that when festivals, when event organizers go together, they don't have to reinvent the wheel. They feel stronger. Actually, I guess they go faster because they can share return of experiences. But also, we have an idea. Is that if we consider eco-event as if we try to diminish environmental impact, we are going to scare everybody because it's costly, it's boring, and people are going to tell, oh, come on, we want to do this and to do that. Do we have to? It's either the waste management, or it's an artist. So we have to cut a scene if we want to do waste management, and we don't agree with this. What we try to explain people is that eco-events are the event of the future. We use keywords. We often talk about event industry. For us, it's the green event industry, because behind the green event there is an industry. We have service providers. We have people working out of this. We also often use the word circular economy. We try to tell all these people that if they make their event greener, their event will be even nicer and more interesting. As we have seen today with all the speakers, if we ask the people, I'm losing my words. If we ask, okay, that's live. Okay, so at the end, with circular economy, what we try to do is, with this, we have more valuable events. And what we try to do also is not only one or two outstanding events. We have some, I'm going to show you some of them, that we are very proud of. But what we want is 1,001 improvers according to the scale of the award. So, this is not like, obviously we work with festivals. The festivals are the most magic events. They are the place where so many people have pleasure, meet, get culture. But also we work with smaller events. Here we work with little festival, only tiny one, 500 people on site. We work with local events. This is an event that is neighborhood event, and where it's very interesting, this one, it's that when they organize their event, they try to involve all the community. Here, this event was organized with homeless people. So what we heard this morning with refugee is we consider eco-event an event that is accessible for everybody, disabled, but also people that have issues, that don't have enough money or are vulnerable. Here is an event. This is vibrating column. You put your hand on this column, and it helps you to feel the sound. So this is a system that is being used for deaf people. We go also on events like this one. You see, it's actually this. Comment on dit manège? You know that with the kids. Thank you. Well, you know the word. Well, this one is the engine is the guy that is pedaling. Well, it's very nice. In France, we love yard sale. This, you see that guy that is waiting and looking at me while you take this picture. And we have hundreds of them. And these events, they are very important for us because these are the places where we make the more waste. So lots of waste management. As you said previously, we learn from one from the other, and what we have seen in Nantes, we already have some people that are thinking about green events regarding culture, and on the other side, we have lots of people that think about sporting events as green. But those two types of people don't communicate. So we try to make them in the same room because, in fact, regarding food, regarding transportation, regarding waste, it's all the same type of issue. So this is the types of event that we are working with. We are working with event organizers, but what we have realized is that we need to work also a lot with service provider. Meaning that if we go and see an event organizer and tell him, you should reduce your environmental footprint, he says, okay, thanks for the advice. It's great. I love your advice. But if we don't bring him any solution, it's not working. So what we try to do, we try to valorize all the service providers, so all the people that propose dry toilet, that propose disabled accessibility, that propose covoiturage. This is French.
Care service.
Merci, care, voilà, c'est ça. Can you say it again?
Actually, I'm doubting now, but I think it's like sharing cars.
Yes, this is
Cars.
it. Okay, so what we try to do is we try to work with these people a lot, and what we try to do then is to tell them that what they are doing is interesting. So we are creating a little label. It's not at all a competitor with Green Festival Award, don't worry. And because what we have seen is usually when somebody is doing something cool, nobody tells him. It's like it's normal. No, it's not normal. What you're doing is extraordinary. We have over 1,000 events every year in Nantes, and we only work with 50 of them, 5%. So every time these people are doing something nice, what we try to do is just at least to go, to stand up and shake their hand and say, hey, thank you very much. It's very nice what you're doing. And also after we try to, when they have a solution, to say, okay, who is doing this for you? Okay, this is this company. And after we try to connect this service provider with all the other organizers. This is the work what we're doing. Here, every year, so we have between 20 service provider or good practice that we identify. Here is an example. At the bottom on the right, I made it on purpose, you can't read. It's a no rubbish event. On this event, there is a service provider that arrived in the event, and the way he did, he allowed a 98% recycling. At the end of the event, there were only 3 pounds of waste. So that was just amazing. We had never seen that. And we would like this to be done repeatedly in many other events. And a last type of people that we are working with is the city, basically. Because if we consider green service provider and event organizer as the only element of the ecosystem, it's not working very well, because most of the time it's more costly and event organizers don't have the money. So we worked with the city, because on one way we have an industry that don't know how to, that want to improve their environmental footprint. And the other side, we have the city that try to implement the change of behavior. They would like the inhabitants of Nantes to sort their waste. They would like to do carpooling. They would like to do their inhabitants to take public transportation, to eat local. And what was said previously, is that in fact festival you said that, I remember now. Is that festivals are just amazing places to explain the inhabitants. Well, you're sorting your waste here. Why don't you do it at home? Well, you see, you can eat local here in a festival. Why don't you do it there? So it was a very interesting partnership that we developed between the event organizers, the service provider, and the city. And finally, we try also to involve the audience. So we participate to other networks such as La Société Civile. Translate that. Okay.
So Tu peux le dire en fait?
La société civile.
Non mais la phrase.
On essaye, we try to involve, on essaye d'impliquer les gens de la société civile, le grand public.
Okay, well, everyone from all the people, all the stakeholders, from the community, from the city, from everyone.
What's your name?
Emmerich.
Merci Emmerich, I love you. You saved me.
That was quick.
Yes, but the food. And I guess I'm almost done. I don't know. One thing, it's too bad that there was a lady that was here, but she asked to come back to France. So you were right. We like there is so many people, French people, coming here this year. It's like an invasion. She was here, and we organized at the Biennale Internationale du Spectacle. I won't translate. Where it's also time to assemble. So we're doing exactly the same thing like this kind of day, where we meet wonderful people. We meet people that are all motivated. You know, I don't know for you, but being here is so like regenerated for me. Because when I will come back home, you know, it will be, yeah, everything is possible. I really love this. This is the last event we did, and we try to market what we want 1,001 events involved for the territory and the climate. This is our objective. And we try to tell all type of events, even if they don't believe in global warming, we still have some. We tell them, come on, play with us. Well, you don't believe that green. Oh, you're right. It's just a fake. But let's just try another thing about accessibility or whatever. And most of the time, they will come. And last thing, time to assemble. There is following the COP21, so there are going to be the COP22, and that will be in Morocco. But to prepare the COP22, there is a summit in Nantes called Climate Change. I didn't choose the name. And this summit, there is a call for contribution. So if any of you here is interested in sending academic or return of experience, a contribution regarding the way how a festival or our event can participate to not adapting because reducing the climate change, the climate.
Carbon emissions.
Merci. Yes, love you too. Seriously, there is this call for contribution, and yes, there is this call. There is this call. If we have some organization that participate, then we will organize in end of September also a meeting regarding how the green event industry participate to climate change. Yes, you understand me.
Just a question on that. What is the deadline to submit?
Alors la deadline to submit is April 7th. Voilà. Thank you very much for your understanding.
Hi everyone. My name's Chris, I'm from Powerful Thinking, co-founder and chair. Powerful Thinking is a think, do tank, which I'm not sure whether it's a bit posh to say that. But essentially we're an action group, we're a collaboration across the industry. We've been going 5 years, and it all started when a bunch of festival organisers and power providers got in a room and decided to have a conversation about how we provide energy, how energy is managed at temporary events. And what we found was that there was a lot of frustration and a lot of aspiration amongst festival organisers to move towards renewables, but there weren't any market solutions at the time. So what we thought might just be a one-off conversation has ended up being a 5-year journey. And now we've got stakeholders from across the industry. You can see the logos there. And through the various associations, there's 257 plus festivals now, in theory or in principle, engaged. And we've concentrated on providing resources, advice, tools to festivals to make their management of energy more sustainable. In November we produced what I think is a landmark report. The show must go on. Could I have a show of hands of people that before today were aware of this report, just for a reference? Okay, so it's sort of out there. How many people have actually read it? Slightly less. Okay. So the report was an industry response, or designed, conceived as an industry response to COP21, because we'd like not to be living in streets with swans. Well, actually, the swans are quite beautiful, so maybe this isn't the right image, but the report was an attempt to use all the available analysis and data that we could get our hands on in industry and do a comprehensive analysis of the impact of festivals so that we could develop a wider understanding of our impacts and have a sort of robust starting point. The report is rooted in government targets pre-COP21, which is 50% reduction in carbon emissions for the UK by 2025. And so, with that context, we went out to find out what was going on. And there are 3.17 million festival goers in the country, roughly. We estimate there's 23,500 tonnes of waste produced annually. I should say that this report is very much focused on music, multi-day camping greenfield festivals. We didn't have the data, or we couldn't cope with the scope of the event industry, and there's endless conversations about how you would divide or define different parts of the event industry, so we thought we'd bite the chunk off that we know something about, which is festivals. A lot of this data has come from using industry, Julie's Bicycle's industry green tool, because they've worked with a number of festivals to collect information that provides us with some sort of base, some sort of metrics to work from, and then we've extrapolated figures up to give an estimate of the industry as a whole. So some more of the findings: 5 million litres, about 5 million litres of diesel are used every year. I shall leave you to read the report rather than go through all the details. But what it provided us with was with a bit of a foundation to start to think about where we should prioritise reducing impacts, how we were going to achieve that. On-site carbon footprint breakdown, perhaps not a surprise. Waste and energy are the big deals, but of course we know that travel is a major aspect. I find this quite interesting because actually there's a complete blind spot in industry data for contractor, supplier, artist travel. It just doesn't seem to exist. We've started to try and model that with Shambhala, but I wonder whether we might start collecting that across the industry, because although it's just one study, we found at Shambhala that if we collected as much information we could last year, we actually found that all non-audience travel was about equal to audience travel. So I mean, it's a big factor that's missing. So from there we went out and wanted to get a sense of what was already happening, what festivals were doing. So we did a survey. Almost 50 UK festivals participated, and I don't know if you can see that, it's not very large, but we were finding things like the less popular initiatives that traders were being implemented were Traders Awards, using industry certifications or minimum food standards, but the more popular things were promoting and incentivising sustainable travel, environmental initiatives on site, strategies to reduce waste. That's interesting. So from there we had a good look around, and perhaps you've seen them in the report about what precedents are there, what are festivals successfully managing to do. If we are going to start to look at how we're going to reduce impacts and perhaps meet 50% reductions, what's realistic? So we modelled it. We know with a degree of certainty what certain measures offer us in terms of reductions in impacts, and we sort of have a sense of what is possible through what certain festivals have achieved, and we thought we'd better come up with some kind of simple answer to how we might together as an industry achieve 50% reductions, and it is simple. It's reducing diesel consumption by 50% and achieving 50% recycling. Now actually the fact that they're both 50% is a coincidence, although it's intuitive that to achieve 50% reduction in carbon emissions you'd think that you would just halve things. It's actually a complete coincidence that those two figures are 50%. but that's, I probably haven't got long enough to talk about that. So next, we had a look at what's holding us back as an industry, and again, this is from the Industry Manifesto survey of 50 festivals. Perhaps this isn't a surprise, but fear of increased costs, number one, lack of internal resources and time to make changes, and lack of expertise. So, where do we go from here? A vision. So, what we haven't tried to do in the report is detail exactly how we're going to get there. I think this is the beginning of the journey. But what we do want to promote is people coming together and joining the vision to articulate our collective aspiration. And that is the Festival Vision 2025. So we're currently sort of reaching out through social media, through events like this, to say, working with the Greener Festival closely and Julie's Bicycle, and through all of our steering group members, to encourage festival organisers across the UK to just say, yeah, we'll be part of this. Let's aim, individually and collectively, to reduce our impacts by 50% by 2025. So it's online. It only takes a couple of minutes to sign up. You can also grab a free copy of this from the desk. I see many of you have, and it's downloadable from the website. One of the things that we've been talking about with someone who's advising us on PR in terms of the complexity of this for festivals that aren't already significantly engaged is, how do we simply, what's the conversation about what needs to happen? And one idea is, which is measure, manage, make a difference. So if we can develop a collective, strong voice where we say, right, all we have to do is measure stuff. Let's just measure it. You know, that's a starting point. You can't measure progress without measuring it. And there's amazing tools. There's IGTool, there's the Greener Festival assessment, perhaps others. So I think maybe, you know, if that's what 2016 is about, just measuring, and we can get that message out in the UK, then we might get some traction, more traction.
Cool, thank you. I'm getting evil eyes here to wrap this up. So I just want to say thank you very much. Thank you for listening. And it's almost the last session of the day, but one final little note I think we'll leave on with our guest here, with Dominic. What he said was, I think it's something we should all take home, and it's alone we go faster, but together we go further. And if that's not about collaboration, then I don't know what is really.